All right. I had a little technical difficulty there, and I still don't know if it's actually fixed, but I had to reboot my computer. So, hey guys, this is June Collier, and what I wanted to talk to you about is a report that I heard this morning as I was watching CNBC. And that report said that over half of Americans are not invested in the stock market in any sort of way, including their retirement accounts. Over 50% of Americans are not invested in the stock market, including their retirement accounts. And what I wanted you to know is that there's a major wealth transfer that's happening. And really, it's been happening for the last decade, right? If you haven't participated in the stock market in the last 10 years, you have missed some tremendous opportunities. And the report went on to say that those that have participated in the market, the top 10%, they've gained over 6 trillion of wealth since March. 6 trillion of wealth since March. Now, when you hear they, understand that they is also me. I have made over $200,000 since March in the stock market, right? So I'm in that number of the 6 trillion. And I'm going to talk about my t-shirt here in a minute. It says I'm a 1%er. But let me see if I can share. Let's see if this is going to work. I want to share this video with you. And let's see if we can make this work here. Hit share. I see what I did wrong. And let's go first. Let's go first here.
The vast number of Americans not invested in the stock market. And Robert Frank joins us now on more with that story. Robert.
Good morning, Andrew. Well, the burst of populism that we're seeing right now, all the stock trading, is partly driven by a stock market that continues to benefit a select group of investors and leaving most Americans behind. Now, according to recent data from the Federal Reserve, the top 10% of Americans now own 88% of all corporate equity and mutual fund shares. That is among the...
I'm going to stop right there. They own 88%. The top 10% of American households earn 88% of stock equities and mutual funds. The top 10%. So guess what? I'm in that top 10%. You should be too. You should be in that top 10% as well. Let's listen on.
The highest shares on record and actually above the pre-pandemic levels. Now, it looks like the peak for broad American stock ownership was back in 2002 when 67% of Americans said they owned stock. Now, about half of all Americans don't even have any participation in the stock market or own any shares, even if you include retirement accounts. Now,
did y'all hear that? 50% don't have any money in the stock market, including retirement accounts. Oh my gosh.
Concentration is especially high at the very top. The top 1% now owning more than half of all stocks. They gained over...
The top 1% own over half of all stocks. The top 1% owns over half of all stocks.
Over $6 trillion in wealth from those stocks since March. Now, generation...
Did you hear what he said? And I know I keep stopping. Over $6 trillion of wealth has been generated since March. I got some of that 6 trillion. Did you?
Today's millennials are also lagging behind. The median value of their stock holdings is about a third less than Gen Xers at the same stage in life. Now, if you look at the disparities along racial lines, those are even worse. Stock ownership by Black and Hispanic households now about half of white households, Andrew. And the risk here is that if a lot of these new traders don't survive these trades, rather than democratizing the market, which is the hope, we could actually lose an entire generation of traders and go backwards.
Shepard Smith. All right.
Thanks for...
All right. Let's talk about that for a moment. What you just saw. Let's talk about that just for a quick moment because it's important. So they said that the stock market has benefited a select group of investors, those that are actually participating in the market. The top 10% own 88% of all corporate equities. That just means stock. The top 10% own 88% of the stock market. Half of Americans don't even participate in the stock market at all, including their retirement accounts. Then the top 1% owns half of all the stocks. The top 1%. Right? And then since March, it ain't even been a full year. Since March, those that have participated in the stock market that know what they're doing, they have gained $6 trillion of wealth since March. And you guys know I'm not lying because I've shown you my accounts, and I've shown you that since March, I've generated over $200,000 since March. This is the time where wealth is being transferred at a rapid pace. And if you don't have the knowledge and you're not participating, you're walking around, you're the walking dead. And so they talk about how Blacks and Hispanics are far behind. We all know that. And they talk about how they think that the Gen Xers and the new generation of millennials, you know, they're all getting into the stock market and everybody's heard about GameStop. My daughter came home the other day and she says, Dad, all the people, all my friends are talking about GameStop and getting Robinhood app and buying GameStop. And she knows a little bit about the stock market. You know how kids are. They hear you, but they don't hear you. But she knows to come ask me. And so I explained to her what was going on. And I explained to her not to do that, right? But there's a lot of young people who don't have parents that know anything about the market that can give them any kind of financial advice. Let me share with you another gentleman who took $4,500 and his $4,500 in GameStop grew to $1.1 million. And he's holding. He won't sell. That is an inexperienced investor because at the time, this was probably a couple of days ago, at the time he had $1 million. If he did not sell at that time, he pretty much lost that $1 million. Let's go and take a look at that. Let me share that with you as well. Let me share my screen again. And let's jump over there and take a look. So this is this young man. His name is AJ. He put about $4,500 into a risky bet on GameStop, and he earns $35,000 a year and became a millionaire on paper. So if I click on this, this is probably going to play a little video before it actually plays what he did. But you know, while this is pulling up,
easily
people who don't understand, let me just mute this just for a second. People who don't understand how the stock market works, even when it works in their favor, they miss out on the opportunity simply because they don't know what's going on. They have no knowledge. So let's listen to them.
This is my account total at the moment on Robinhood.
Right now, there's more than $1 million sitting in AJ Vanover's Robinhood trading account, all thanks to a hugely risky bet on GameStop.
I knew I was going to make money, but I got lucky with how it actually unfolded.
AJ is 31 years old and lives in Missouri with his family. In 2019, he started following Wall Street Bets, a chaotic and gleefully profane stock trading subreddit.
People aren't really going to step in and help you. Like, if you didn't know how options function.
Soon he was trading, and he had a hunch about the video game retailer GameStop. AJ says he bought 100 shares and then some options, investing about $4,500 total. And then this happened.
A new twist in the Reddit-fueled stock roller coaster taking the world by storm.
Now this battery store worker who makes $35,000 a year is a millionaire, at least on paper, for now. You haven't sold your stocks yet.
I want to make more money, and I feel confident and it's going up. I searched around. I might see how far it goes now.
AJ and the online army of amateur investors he's a part of have rocked Wall Street by buying up GameStop and other shares. The big hedge funds who were betting against those stocks lost billions. Just icing on the cake for AJ.
I wasn't happy about the 2008 crisis. It was kind of upsetting to see everybody get bailed out that really caused it, and nothing really happened. It is interesting this time to see them on the other end.
But AJ is playing a risky game. Plenty of folks in the Reddit community have racked up huge losses. In a 2020 farewell post, one member described losing years of savings, writing, I went from a rational investor to some sick, irrational, desperate gambler. But no matter how this ends, the Reddit army has rattled Wall Street to its core. How much of this do you think is a paradigm shift?
This is the first time I've ever seen the masses be able to win this big. And I think it's going to get a lot more people interested in actually getting into the markets.
All right. So let me just state a couple of things here. So AJ took $4,500, and that $4,500 grew to over $1 million. And he's sitting on the couch saying he's not selling because he thinks it can go higher. Anybody that understands how the market works and anybody that understands what happened with GameStop would say that he's an inexperienced investor. I'm going to be shy of saying he's a fool because that doesn't seem like the nice thing to say. But he's a very inexperienced investor. Anybody would have told him to take that money off the table immediately. You turn $4,500 into $1 million. It's time to cash in. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. You got to understand that. And so there's a book that I tell people to purchase to learn about how stock investing will make you do crazy things. You'll start to figure out who you really are. And what AJ is experiencing right now is greed. And greed can kill you. And if he did hold his stock, greed did kill him. I'm going to share with you why greed killed him, because the stock is down 60% since yesterday. All right. And so greed has killed him if he held on to the stock. Okay. You've got to get proper education. So let me share with you what I mean by that. Greed has killed him. Let me share one more time my screen. I'm not going to do a video or anything, but I'm going to share with you my screen so you can actually see what's going on right now in the market. So right here, the market is up. I mean, the market is all up right now. I'm excited because the market is up. But it says stock gains as GameStop craters and silver slides. So these folks were trying to do the same thing that they did with GameStop with silver. But let's go take a look at GameStop real quick. I just want to show you why AJ is crying today if he held on to his shares. So GameStop is trading at 138 right now. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the chart. You can't really tell by looking at the 1-day chart. So I'm gonna zoom out to 1 year. I could probably even do 6 months, but I'm going to zoom out to 1 year. And you can just see what happened. This stock went as high as $325. That was on January 25th, $325. It went from roughly about 17 bucks on January 4th to $325 on January 25th. Anybody that understands stocks knows that there's nothing that a company can do in 2 weeks to give that kind of growth. There's nothing that you can do. So we already know that this is just not natural. So the fact that it happened means that he should have taken advantage of the opportunity to get rid of that stock and cash in on the $1 million. But now it's gone from 325 till today is at 131. So he's lost about 60% of his money. He's probably got $500,000 right now, right? And so a guy that makes $35,000 a year to lose $500,000 in a course of a day or two, because it kept dropping, to lose that in a day or two means that he just has no idea what he's doing. And so what is happening is that people are treating the stock market like it's a lottery, and it's not a lottery ticket. It's not. There are things that you need to know about stocks and investing so that you don't make the mistake that AJ unfortunately made. I want you to think about his family. He works at a battery company selling batteries. That battery store, he works at a battery store. And he makes $30,000, $35,000 a year. And he bet on GameStop. And I'm going to say he bet on GameStop and he won. He won $1 million on GameStop. And he had the opportunity to sell and get $1 million cash. But he said, I'm a hold. That is greed at its finest. When the stocks are doing well, the greed inside of you says, I want more. And then now, I hope he doesn't have the other symptom. The other symptom is it'll come back. It'll come back. I'm gonna hold on. And that symptom is you don't know when to go ahead and take your losses or take the profits that's there and move on. I hope that he's still not holding this stock saying it'll come back. You got to read Trading in the Zone. Trading in the Zone talks about all of the emotions that you will have as a stock trader. We talk about this in our stock trading class. You will begin to understand who you really are when you start trading stocks. You'll figure out if you're a scaredy cat or not. You'll figure out if you are a risk taker. You'll figure out if you're a gambler. You'll figure out if you're greedy. You'll figure out if you're fearful. The stock market will bring out all of those emotions in you. And if you're not careful, you're going to lose. It's not really the trades that you make as much as it is the trader. The trader is really what determines your success, your mindset, what you think and what you understand and what you know. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys because I think it's important that everyone become a participant of the stock market. I think everyone should become a participant of the stock market. But I also think that you need to make sure that you have the proper knowledge in order to do so. You've got to get some books. You got to get some learning in. You got to learn so that you don't make the kind of mistakes that AJ has made. You don't want to make those mistakes. You don't want to lose $500,000. Whoo, right? I thought it was something when I lost $12,000, but to lose $500,000, you don't want to do that. So I know I've been talking about the stock class. I finally, last night, man, I finally broke through and got some headway on the new platform that we're doing with the stock market class. I will have the registration for the class this week. I needed probably about 2 more days to get everything tied up and wrapped up. So this week, so if you're on the list, you will get a notification from me this week letting you know that the registration has now opened. You can begin to register, and I'm probably going to start the class next Thursday. So the stock market class is about to open, and you're going to learn how you can become part of that 10%. And hopefully, this is my affirmation, become a 1%er. Become a 1%er that owns half of the market. Become a 1%er. And if not a 1%er, definitely a 10%er, because you're looking at a 10%er. I don't want you to think that this thing is so far off that that's for other folks, that you don't know anybody that's a 10%er, that you don't know anybody that took part of that $6 trillion transfer or wealth since March. Yes, you do. If you're watching this video, if you're watching this stream, you know someone that took advantage of the $6 trillion since March that has transferred into investors' hands. It is truly amazing. It is a great time to be alive. It is a great time to be an investor. And if you're not investing, don't you think you should be? You should. You should. So this is June Collier signing out. Thank you so much. I apologize for the hiccup earlier, but thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I know this is a little longer than I planned for it to be, but there's some educational nuggets that are in what I shared here today. Go back and watch the video. Go back and find those videos on YouTube and watch the whole clip yourself. You got to be an investor if you're going to get ahead. This is June Collier signing out. God bless. Take care. We'll chat soon.